welcome to another episode of the Footstep Show. My name is C. Today we'll be talking about building your own legacy and how we'll be able to build our own legacy. So I have a guest all the way from Montreal, Canada here, Brother Dr. EBENEZER KWOFIE, who is a church organist and a youth advocate. Welcome.
Thank you.
So who is Brother Dr. EBENEZER KWOFIE? Doctor, can you hear us? All right, welcome back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So who is Dr. EBENEZER KWOFIE?
All right. So, as you rightly said, my name is EBENEZER KWOFIE. I'm part of the Montreal Methodist Church. I'm the church organist, as was said, and a youth advocate, and I also work with Miguel.
Great. So when we're talking about building your own legacy, what is legacy all about?
All right. First of all, I'm very excited to be part of this program today because today we're talking about a very important topic, legacy. And I'm sure we've had legacy from different quarters with different meaning. And so the usual broad meaning when we talk of legacy, it's usually conceived as a gift or inheritance, which it's left behind for people. And but in a broader sense, you would say that it's something of value that we leave behind for those after us. And that's a more narrow way of defining legacy because the most treasured form of legacy are intangible gift, which is the values you leave behind, the memories you leave behind, the friendship you have, the love, the respect that you show people. And so, if you put all of this together, I would say that legacy is the interconnection across time, um, which helps us to understand those who have come before us and also help us to understand the responsibility we have to those who would come after us. At the end of the day, it's fundamental to human life, and there have been document or data to show that if you don't have a legacy, if you're not living for something, then you lose the meaning of your life. So if you put it together, I would say legacy is impact.
Wow, great. So why is it very important to build your legacy or to build a legacy?
Yes. So maybe picking from where I left with the last question, because without legacy, you lose the meaning of your life. That means that the whole idea of legacy helps you to capture the insights that you have for today because of the experiences you have had in the past, and that helps you to communicate whatever treasures that are there to build a better future. In a sense, if you talk of legacy, you're primarily looking at your life and the lessons you've learned along the way, and it also helps you to celebrate the things that are more important to you, which would help you to leave something behind. And so it is important to build a legacy for a number of reasons. First of all, just even having the idea of legacy gives you a glimpse into how to relate to people and how to build a stronger community. In fact, if you think of legacy as something that is connected to death, I would challenge that, because legacy is actually about life, because legacy is about living. And why is it important that we pursue it? It's important because it can help you to decide what kind of life you want and what do you want to live for in this world. And so if you want to live, let's say, a business legacy, which is a gift or inheritance for your children, what it means is you have to put in the effort to build that business so that you can leave it behind. Let's say you want to build a legacy of good memories, or as a family man, or as a studious student, then it would help you to put in the right resources, spend your time in the most useful way so that you can create the legacy you want. And so, in a sense, having the mentality of creating a legacy would help you live a better life, or live your life in a way that would help you achieve what you aim to leave behind. Another way of also looking at this is that leaving a legacy, because it basically means that you will continue to make a contribution in the future, whether you're present or not. It helps you then to think about what can live on after you are no longer, and so helping the generations to implement the beautiful life lesson that you gained because you left that behind. So these are the reasons why everyone should strive at least to understand what it means to leave a legacy and work towards actually leaving one.
So my follow-up question would be, I know you mentioned about like people tend to relate legacy to debt. In your opinion, why is it so that people, when we think about legacy, is all about like what the person left behind when they pass away or when they pass on?
Yeah, okay. So the whole idea of legacy, of course, is leaving behind something of value. But the important question then becomes, what is something of value? Is it always money? Is it always inheritance? Is it always those physical things? Like I said earlier, that the most important legacy are the intangible ones, are the memories that you leave behind. What do people remember you for? Maybe not money, but you are the person who would always calm them down when things are not going well. Maybe you're the guy they can confide in, they can call and talk to. That is the kind of legacy that actually lives on for long, even more than the physical items. And so if you want to think of leaving a legacy, then you should think both about the tangible and intangible ones, because the intangible ones have more meaning. The intangible ones help people to feel comfortable around you, knowing well that you're the person they can rely on. The intangible ones make people want to be with you. There are people who don't have money, who don't have all the luxury, but live a modest life, are so happy about their life. And that's the kind of the kind of legacy in addition to the physical items that you want to leave behind. And so it's because we have known legacy as a gift or inheritance. That's why anytime you talk about legacy, everybody is thinking about a will and what did they leave behind, the houses and the cars and all of that. But the concept of legacy goes beyond those.
All right. So I know you talk about intangible ones, but how about the tangible ones? Is it something good as intangible, or it can be bad as well?
Well, okay, so the tangible ones are very important. They make life very comfortable. Can you imagine if you had a parent who already had a business and left the business for you, right?
Yeah.
It kind of suggests that you might be able to live a good life afterwards. But then the problem is if you don't have the intangible legacy that would help you actually keep the business, you would run down the business in no time.
Yeah.
You will, because you don't have the capacity to actually lead the business. You don't have the skill set to manage the business. You don't have the empathy that made the business stand. You don't have the love that the owner spread around. That's why people were able to work for him without complaining. So those are the things that will make any tangible legacy left behind actually meaningful. Otherwise, it would just be like someone wins a lottery and 5 years down the line, they're very poor. Why? Because they don't have the capacity to actually manage that, right? And so even if you're getting a tangible legacy from your grandparent, from your father, maybe it's a house, and you don't have the capacity to maintain the house, it's going to go down the drain very soon. And so while we might want to leave behind tangible legacies, gifts, and inheritance, we also want to leave behind the intangible ones, the ones that actually keep people around you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So it's like technically legacy is how you can be able to maintain it so you can leave that kind of legacy for other people to follow suit. Is that correct?
Yes. So maybe in one sentence to understand legacy, it's
Mm-hmm.
what will people remember you for?
Okay.
And remember you could be remember you because you had a lot of money. Remember you because you were a good person inward, that people would draw closer to you because you were reliable, right? And so when you
Yeah.
think of what you want to leave behind, it's not all about money. Money is good. The tangible things are very important. They make life better, but the intangible ones are even better.
Great, great, great. So how do we build a legacy?
Okay, that's a big one. So we're going to take this one in bets, right? Because the idea of building a legacy, it's not a one day thing. It's not something you wake up one morning and you say you want to build it, and the next day it's done. No, if you look at all the people who have been successful in business, most of them started from nowhere. They started like anybody, but they persisted and followed through their dreams, and then it came into fruition. And so I want to highlight a few steps that can help us build a lasting legacy. Now, the first one is you would have to decide the kind of legacy you want to create. Is it a business? Do you want to live a business for your family? Do you want to live and leave behind a house or a number of cars? So you need to decide what you want to leave behind. Do you want to leave behind the intangible ones. So you need to decide. The best is to have both tangible and intangible, because if you build the tangible and you also add the intangible that help those you're leaving behind to actually manage it properly, then that becomes a lasting legacy. So the first step is to decide what you want to leave behind. The second point is that you can decide to start the your process of building a legacy anytime, but the best time to start building a legacy is today. It's when you decide to create a legacy, you start right away. Now this is very important because of all the things that we have in this world, the most essential one is time. And time does not wait for any man. I heard this quote from this young poet in the UK called Ayanadin, and she made a statement. She said that how you use your time changes your reality, and your reality controls your destiny, and your destiny controls your legacy. Now, this simply means that what you choose to do with your time right now actually tells us what reality you get. And when you have consistently created that kind of reality around you, it controls what kind of destiny you would have, what the end would be, and what the end is actually what you're leaving behind. And so choosing to start creating a legacy today means that you also have to choose what you're going to do today with your time. You know, as it said, that there are two main times when people are born. The first is when you're physically born, and the second is the day that you find out why you were born. And the day you find out why you were born, you are actually on the path of creating a legacy. Why? Because you continuously work towards that goal or the why. And that why helps you to do something that is from within. And so you don't struggle to create your legacy, because you do it because it is what you were created for. And doing so helps you to leave behind that which you were created for. The why of your life is what you leave behind. And so if you start from the day you identify what it is that you want to leave behind, you are on the right path. The third thing is that creating a legacy requires a more simplified version of you. What does that mean? It means that taking away the things that easily entangles you and focusing on the things that are important. Because if you are spending your time on the non-essentials, it practically means you have less time to focus on the things that are important. And so to really build a legacy requires you not only identifying the thing that you want to build or beginning to work on it, but also becoming laser focused on those essential items. The fourth one is more connected with the intangible component of legacy, because it basically means that treating people with kindness. Now, remember, the intangible aspect of a legacy, it's the memories that you leave behind of yourself. And so, if people know you to be a kind-hearted person, if people know you to be someone they can rely on, if people know you to be an honest person, then that is what they would remember you for. You mentioned this, oh, do you know Mr. A? Oh, that man, he's a gentleman. That man, he's very reliable. That man, you tell him stuff and he keeps it. So that's the soft component, or the intangible things that you want to also build as part of your legacy. Because in any case, if you have all the money but people can't trust you, people know you to lie all the time, then that's no better legacy that you're leaving behind. So that's the fourth one: treating people with kindness, or building your intangible component of your legacy. The next one is serve to the best of your ability. And this is particularly critical for young people. Okay. There is this book, Becoming So Good That You Cannot Be Ignored. And I would encourage more young people to read it, because if whatever capacity you find yourself, if you don't serve to the best of your ability, then of course you're not leaving any legacy. People, you're gone and nobody remembers that you were ever there. But if like Martin Luther said, that even if you sweep the floor or the street, you want to sweep to the level that people would realize that there once lived the sweeper who put in all the effort to make the place the best it could ever be. And that's where you want to get to. If you want to build a legacy, then it doesn't matter what you're doing, do it to the best of your ability. Now that also comes with one important component, which is you need to have the right foundation, right? For example, if you want to be a super fantastic footballer, you cannot be that until you have the right foundation in playing football. If you want to be a good computer programmer, you cannot be an amateur programmer and say you want to leave a programming legacy. It doesn't work like that. What it means is that you have to be good at what you're doing. And being good means laying the right foundation. I never heard any house that was built starting from the roof. It never happens. Houses are always built beginning from the foundation. It means that if you don't develop yourself from the beginning, if you don't get the foundation right, if you don't develop yourself properly, then you are building a legacy on things that do not last. Even if of leaving behind an intangible legacy, you have to start from somewhere. If you cannot be truthful, honest in the little things, then obviously you cannot be truthful in the big ones. And so laying the foundation, the things that would help you to leave a good name behind, it's important that you make the foundation right. So that's the fifth one: serving to the best of your ability, and that requires laying the right foundation. And number six is doing the next right thing. Doing the next right thing. You see, if you read James Clear's book on atomic habits, there's an aspect where he talks about the fact that building a good habit does not require a huge change, but it requires little change that leads to a bigger change. Now, what does that mean? It means that the next little thing, if you get it right, and then you get the next little one right, then you get the next little one right, that's how you build the bigger right thing. And so, like we said, that legacy simply means impact. It doesn't mean doing the big thing. It means doing the small thing big. So if you start the next immediate thing, get it right, and the next one right, and the next one right, without focusing on the bigger one, then you're likely to build a certain character, a certain intangible aspect of yourself that would leave behind a memory to all the people that come in contact with you. Have you been to an office where you spent just a few minutes there, but there was some warmth around somebody? There was somebody there that even though you met for a few minutes, after years, you still remember that experience. Why? Because that person left an indelible mark on your mind. And after days, after months, after a year, you still remember that experience. Why? Because of how the person made you feel, because of how the person treated you. Maybe they only said one thing. Maybe they didn't even say anything to you. They just smiled at you, and that left a good impression on you. And so you go back to wherever you came from, and you just don't talk about the person, but you talk about the organization. You talk about the place. Oh, I went to this place. They are really nice. Meanwhile, you met only one person or two people, but the impression they left made you go about talk about that group of people, that company, with that much love from them. What it means is that as you do the next right thing, as you do the little things right, it creates an impression on people, and that's the legacy you've left on their mind. They might not be with you for a long time. Maybe you only met them in a bar and you were that nice to them because that is the kind of person you have created or you have made yourself to be. And that impression on the bars left with them, and so they carry that. And so while we are building our tangible legacy, the intangible ones need to be done almost on a daily basis, a little at a time. And with doing that,
There for me
we will
is
become the big
living with family,
legacy we want to leave
living in
behind.
affordable
The last one I
housing,
want to talk about
renting
is
a
that
home, and
if you remind yourself on a daily
going to
basis
work for free.
that you have limited time, it makes you work differently. It makes you look at life differently. It makes you build a good, intangible legacy as well as your tangible one. Let me give you an example. If you knew that someone you love so much was at the hospital and has been told to live, when they come back home for those 6 months, you cherish almost every minute of it. Why? Because they're going to be with you for a limited time. Now, when we walk around with this mentality that we have a limited time to live on this earth, and so whilst we're here, we want to leave behind something memorable, something that people would remember us for, you would see that your actions, your attitude will be different. Now there is this mantra that I have been using, which is I heard that from someone, and then I thought it was a good thing, so I carried it on. This person said that because our journey together is short, he doesn't spend time building grudges or holding grudges with people. And that made a lot of sense to me. And this story was about someone in a car, and so the car seat had to take 3 people, but they had put 4 people on the seat, and so they were kind of fitting in there very tightly. And so the guy was, I mean, they were pressing him so hard, and the next person was wondering, why is this guy not complaining? Asked why, and then he said, well, our journey together is short. There's no need for me to be upset with what this guy has done or what you're doing, because in the next stop I'm going to get off this car and we can continue the journey. Now, if you have this mentality that our journey through life is short, let's say you work with someone in your job or in your company, and these guys kind of they're thorn in the flesh. Okay, they make your life miserable, and you think about that. Okay, I'm not going to be here forever, for a limited time, even though I do otherwise. I want to do something. I want to leave behind that make them even think about me whilst I'm gone to my next job. And as we think about the limited time we have, our interaction with people will be different. And the things that we have to do, we will do them with urgency. If it's education, if it's school, because you know you have a limited time to finish your program and move on to do something else, you put in all the attention. It's like we act as if there's nothing at stake. And as young people, when there is no urgency in your life, there's no urgency in the things you do, you actually take things for granted. And before you're aware, things have gone bad because you were not paying attention. I would encourage anyone that you would begin from today. Think about what you want to leave behind. If you see yourself as becoming a musician, begin today that you want to be the best version of a musician you could ever be. And then when you are gone, when you're no more, people will remember this music and they would carry on. How many years have Bob Marley died, but his songs keep on living with us? People play the song and sing as if he's here with us. So it doesn't matter what you want to leave behind. It may be tangible, it may be intangible, but if you put in all the effort knowing that you have limited time to do so, you will be able to leave something great behind.
Wow, I love these tips that you gave us. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Are you an African parent who is looking to engage your child in an educational program? AfriCanada Hub is a non-profit organization that aims to elicit the creative and leadership skills in the Black child. Register your child today in our ongoing book clubs and leadership programs by calling or texting 416-939-0530 or by visiting our website at www.africanadahub.org. AfriCanada Hub. We are all capable.
No go feel woman o flow mo abo grene abo oh nsumo e wa book o flow mo no
right, welcome back. If it's your first time joining us, we are live on Facebook and on YouTube. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, The Footstep Show. And my name is C, and we're talking about building your own legacy and how to build about it. And we have our guest, who's a church organist and a youth advocate, Brother Dr. EBENEZER KWOFIE. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, so I know you told all the steps in building your own legacy. With all these steps that you've mentioned, what are the hindrances in building a legacy and how to overcome them?
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's look at a few things that usually hinder us from building the legacy. The first one I would talk about is the lack of focus. You know, sometimes we try to do everything at the same time, and so we get distracted from doing the thing that has the most value. And so especially if you have identified the why, which is the time of your second birth, you know why you're here. If you ignore that and you do something else, you would see it comes with all kinds of struggle. Even when you identify the why, that in itself also comes with a lot of things with it, and some kind of struggle. But once you identify that this is the legacy you want to leave, then you want to put in all your effort towards making that a priority. You know, it's like learning anything. The transition from the basic to the, let's say you want to learn a programming language or you want to learn any new language. Now, if you're not careful, you would be at the baby steps and stay there forever. Why? Because you start for a short time and then you lose focus, you go do something else. And then suddenly you remember, oh, I need to start this. And then you come back. But when you come back, you start from scratch again. And so the cycle continues. And as you keep changing your focus from one thing to another, that becomes a big hindrance to building the legacy, because you're not able to create the right environment to help you move forward. Now, to overcome that, it requires what I call intentionality. It means that you need to make up your mind you want to do it. Right. Now, making up your mind is not an easy thing. It's easy to say, to talk about it, but it's not an easy thing to do. And so you need to set up a little cues that helps you to stay focused, right? You need to identify the things that distract you, and as much as possible, make those things unattractive so that they don't continuously distract you. The second biggest item when it comes to hindrance to building a legacy is when we begin to live the life that other people want us to live. And that could come from anywhere. There are people who are living their parents' dream, or the kind of life their parent didn't have, and so they find a way, some way, somehow, to make their kids live that life. And what happens is that because of the conflict between what the person wants to do and what their parent want them to do, it's fantastic if they are the same. If what you want is what your parents want is the same, it works out really well. Or sometimes it's not even your parents. It's like you go to school, you've got some friends, all your friends are going to do
social science or sociology, and so you follow them. You want to do sociology because that's what your friends are doing. It's when we are unable to live the life that reflects who we are and what we ought to be, and instead living the life that other people want us to be, that becomes so much frustrating because that is not you. You're living to please someone else, and that becomes a huge hindrance to you building a legacy. The other thing that I also want to highlight is the issue of bitterness, anger, and fear. There are people who tried something and made a mistake, and that mistake got stuck with them. And the desire to try something new is almost always shattered by just remembering the failure of the other one. And as long as we make those failure keep hold on us, that maybe someone said something about what you were doing that made you angry, maybe it was not the right thing, but that anger had not left. That anger, and sometimes it's not even anger about someone, sometimes you are angry about yourself. And the big one becomes when that anger turns into bitterness. Because when people are bitter, they can't even think straight. They almost always thinking of the negative thing that should happen to other people, because something bad happened to them, it should happen to other people. It's those things that make us unable to focus, unable to want to build a legacy, because sometimes you say it with your mouth, but your actions reflect something different. And once we are able to free ourselves from the fear, from the anger, from the bitterness, we create the path onto building that which we want to build. And doing so becomes a good path of building our legacy. There are other minor ones, like when we make almost everything become important. Almost everything is emergency. When the little emergency becomes your priority, then that way your capacity to build your own legacy is always put behind. Because let me do this, after that I will focus on this, I'll get this done, and then another agency comes, let me do this after that, and then so you keep postponing your time for building your legacy. And then the last thing that I would say is when you start with a defeated mentality. This thing, I don't even know whether it would work. Once you say it won't work, it won't work. And so it's the self-doubt within ourselves when we begin our process of building the legacy with a defeated mentality that it won't work, then that usually does not work. And so if we can begin to free our mind from that defeated mentality, and see the glass as half full rather than half empty, we will begin to see the good in us, the good in people, the good in the things we do, and doing so a little at a time. They say Rome was not built in a day, a little at a time, with a gradual process and a commitment. And for those of us who are Christians, the support of God through prayer, through our commitment to his promises, this is how we get the capacity and the focus and the ability to build our own legacy. So I'll end that here by saying that it is possible to build the legacy if we put our mind to doing it. Thank you.
Great. I hope our church viewers got all this information, and to help us to build our legacy, like you said, we need to leave intangible legacy so people can remember us in those kind of legacy. So, what will be your final message to our church viewers watching all over Facebook and YouTube?
Right. So this is what I want to say. I want to first of all say that if you had any idea of building a legacy and some way it got lost in the midst of all the hustle and the trouble, today is a good day to start all over again. And this time, encourage yourself, do it a little at a time, put your mind to it. Don't live the life other people want you to live. And as you do that with prayer, with the commitment, with the discipline, a little at a time, you will succeed. So I want to encourage everyone wanting to build their own legacy. And for parents who want to leave behind a tangible legacy for their children, don't leave behind only the asset, only the money, only the cars and the building. Leave behind, in addition to that, the capacity even to manage the things that you are leaving behind. Leave behind the memories, the good memories, the time that you spent with them. Let it be something they would remember forever. If you go to anywhere, any place, any room, job, or any place, let people remember you for something that in your absence they will say, oh, when this person was here, oh, he or she did this, and that's what they talk about you in your absence. And again, for those of us who have inherited some kind of inheritance from other people, whether tangible or intangible, some people left us the desire to love other people, to help other people. Let us pass on this legacy onto other people, because that's the only way legacy lives on. And as we do so, we will be successful in our pursuit of building our own legacy. Thank you.
Dr. EBENEZER, on behalf of the whole Footstep Show team and myself, I want to say thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to have you on our show to discuss about building your own legacy. I learned a lot and I took a lot of notes to help me guide me in building my own legacy. So thank you so much. It was a blessing to have you. We hope to have you again throughout the year. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I think I have also enjoyed being part of this show. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that's it for tonight. We'll meet again in 2 weeks' time on February 4th, and we'll be talking about stroke prevention. Not only will we talk about stroke prevention, but also our second anniversary as the Footstep Show. So the month of February is a second anniversary. So we'll be posting more activities on what to do with the second anniversary of the Footstep Show. So next 2 weeks, we'll be talking about stroke prevention and our anniversary month. So today's have a great evening and have a blessed weekend as well.